Here's the third version, or the third type of carb stand that I just had to fabricate up for a particular set of carbs. These carbs are Mikuni, I think they're VMs, but I'm not going to say what bike they're from because I'm working on that video now. But on the back side here, this main body, this casting is different from the other VMs that I've been working on, where I put the 2 screws in, which is on this version of it here. If you've seen this one before, you put the screws that I keep on the mount itself through those 2 holes, and it lines up with threads. And of course there's no threads in there, and certainly I'm not going to modify these to put them in. So what I had to do is come up with a rack so I could hold these up, a device to hold these things up. That's what I came up with. So I'm going to assemble them here, and we'll go over how we made them, and hopefully you find it interesting. I forgot 2 screws here, but I'll show you where they go. So anyway, this is pretty simple. This is a piece of aluminum that's going to act as a slide block that will attach to this guy here. I'm sorry, this guy here rather. And it'll slide inside this slot here. You'll see why here in a minute. Now when I made this, whoops, butterfingers. Now what I made this out of was just some old junk laying around. In this case, this is the mating part to it. It's like these handlebar pullbacks. I don't know where I got them from. This is hard aluminum. Let me tell you what, this stuff is hard. It must be like industrial grade. So anyway, that's what that's for. So the first thing we're going to do is slide this in. We have to slide in here from the bottom down here, not from the top, because up top here we have a block that's pinned in that's got a 7/16/14 thread for a pusher screw. So we're going to push it in from the bottom here. And there's a hole in the top of this which matches that turn down section on that pusher, on that screw. So it's a matter of just lining it up like this. Okay, and the way this goes is this is going to push down, and this one you would think would go like this, but I have it set up like this. There's a reason for it. So anyway, these 2 guys are just some shoulder bolts I had laying around. These are probably from what do you call it, either sprockets or brake rotors from something. They're an M8 125 thread, and they take an M6 Allen to screw in. And when you tighten them down, the shoulder bottom's on the block, so it doesn't pinch this. And therefore it'll slide up and down. I mean, it's not the most tightest tolerances, but it sure works. What I ended up doing was I ended up milling this slot. I don't have a lot of machining clips on this. I just didn't do it, but I milled the slot out with a 1/2-inch end mill, and then brought it out to dimension, which was a little bit bigger than 10 mil, because that's what those bigger sections on these cap bolts are. The alignment, they would typically go into an alignment of a like a rotor or a sprocket or something. And when they're tight, this thing will slide up and down like that. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on it, but you get the idea. She slides up and down pretty good. Got to, it's a fairly tight tolerance, but it doesn't have to be super tight, Anyway, so we pushed that one up. Now we're going to push the pusher rod, put the pusher rod in rather. 7/16/14. I just took a nut. I don't even know what size that is, to be honest with you, and pinned it to the top of the threaded rod that's like all thread. Put this down. It does not capture this as far as moving it up and down. All I cared about was that it pushed it down. All right. This guy is going to go like this and not like this. And the reason why is because I wanted to keep the carbs away from the metal. So it's going to essentially sit closer to this, not exactly up against it, but closer to it. There's a couple of features machined into it, which I'll show you in a minute. I do have some adjustability here. In this case, I'm going to put it on the bottom one here. Whoops, let's try that. I cut the crap out of my finger yesterday, so I probably need to change that Band-Aid. I think it's probably lived its service life as far as the length of time it's going to work. Don't you think? And I got these countersunk for the same reason. I don't want them sticking out and damaging anything. So it goes in like this. And then again, that comes down like this. Now there's features machined into this that captures the edge, and you'll see it here in a second. So this one captures the top edge, so in other words, it can't necessarily pop out this way because of these edges. All right, and that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and we'll lay these guys in. Actually, I'm gonna stand it up first on what I'm gonna put it in, the vise I normally use. I normally use this jet vise because I don't use it on anything else, and it's nice and heavy, and it will not tip over so easy. You just do this. Again, this just goes up and down, and then we can take our rack and we can put it in like this. All right, I'm gonna turn this sideways so you can see what I'm doing here. Now all we gotta do is bring this down, and I designed this so it goes down pretty far. And there's a reason for that too. As far as the length of this rod goes, pretty close to bottoming out actually in this situation. All right, now I'm gonna get something to tighten that up. Okay, so that takes an 11/16. Now we just snug it, just like that. That's all we gotta do. And now we're really good and solidly racked. Now what we can also do with this is, because I'm kind of close to one of the float bowls, I'm gonna kind of move it over so it splits the difference here. Show you what I mean. You can see down inside there, so there's enough room on each side, you know, when these things are flipped upside down, because the whole purpose of this, the whole purpose of this is, again, just like this one, is to be able to flip it over in situ and then work on the bottoms of the carbs and also work on the tops. Give it a good snug, and nothing's hitting that's gonna get bent. It's clamped on that back rail, if you will. See if we can get you in there and show you that. And again, the aluminum body here is not going to be up against the metal. It's going to be up against this aluminum, which I really clean these and deburr them real well. I just don't want to do any damage. Plus, it's a little bit away anyway, the way it's set up. And you can kind of just see inside there, that edge where this thing goes in. You see how there's you can see that edge and how it's catching that little angle. So these things can't tip forward. So it works pretty well. I haven't used it yet because I just finished this, but I wanted to show you what we made for the next jobs we have as far as carburetors. So we have this one, we have this one for the other VMs, and we have that drill press one I used for the BS34s, and also I just used them on the ZX10 Cahin carbs. So yeah, pretty cool. So I hope you got something out of that. Like I said, I didn't do a whole lot of machining videos on it as far as B-roll clips go, but you know, you get the idea. It's the rest, you know, the rest of it's pretty much simple drilling and tapping. You don't need to see that, but I flip it over, but there's still gas in these, so I need to drain them first, and then I'll do that, but it's gonna work. I got plenty of room up here to capture the vise upside down. All right, so I figured I'd throw this in for you. There they are upside down. I've already pulled the float bowls off. I'm in the process of pressure testing them, and so you can see this works really well, both right side up and upside down. This thing's gonna be fine. And the reason why, oh, I meant to mention that, the reason why I got this thing where it goes almost all the way down is for that exact reason. So we can sit it in the vise and put it in the space between the vise here, that area, you know, the two rails, if you will, and that way it'll sit flush like it is here, but on this end. All right, so look for this in future videos. I'm not going to be doing any video on these particular carbs. I just wanted to show you the mount I made. So thanks for watching.